All right, we're here. We're gonna drain Rich's leaking water heater out. In case you ever want to know how to drain a water heater, we have this little Milwaukee M18 transfer pump. This obviously runs off a battery. They make ones that plug in. You can buy one in Harbor Freight for real cheap, or you can buy this one if you have an M18 battery. They work pretty good. First thing I like to do, turn the water off, make sure the water's always shut off. Then I want to check electric. Usually I like to take this cover plate off the top. I mean, obviously you got to go over your breaker panel. This actually has a disconnect there, but I go to the breaker panel, turn that off, and then get your tick tester, make sure it's off. Sometimes I'll turn it on to make sure my tick tester works right, and then turn it off to make sure it's the right breaker. But obviously we can see it's off right now. So now that the valve's off, the electric's off, we hook up a hose from the tank to the transfer pump. From the transfer pump, run a hose outside. Obviously make sure it's not going to flow back in your house or something. Make sure you go to a good spot with it. And there's always an arrow on the transfer pump which way it's going to pump out. So now that we got that, I'm going to open up the valve. And pretty sure this thing's pretty clogged up. Sometimes it gets clogged up. We're going to turn it on and see if it runs. If it gets clogged up in here, sometimes you can turn the water on to blow out the sediment, and then it starts flowing. And then you turn the valve back off. Sometimes you got to do it a bunch of times. Sometimes you got to put a piece of solder up in the boiler drain because it gets so clogged up. You just got to be careful where you are. I mean, you don't want to put a piece of solder in there to unclog it and the water starts flowing out real quick. You got to have rags ready. You know, some of these water heaters, they got a lot of sediment in it and they're a pain sometimes to drain out. So hopefully this pumps out first try.
Oh yeah, it's nice and brown.
Yeah, I mean, it should be better than that. We'll see if it get. So sometimes, depending on how well your pump's working, sometimes I'll let air into the system. Whether you open a faucet or you open this relief valve here to let that air out. Obviously, you don't want to do this at first because you're going to get water out of this relief valve when you do that. So I like to wait a little bit, let it drain down, then open it. Or you can cut the line up top. But again, until I get good flow, I don't want to do any of that because I might have to turn this water on to blow out the sediment if it gets clogged up again. So those are some of the tricks you can do to try to get it going a little bit better. Alright, once your water heater pump starts making a different noise, that usually tells you it's getting low on the water or if it's done. One thing I do to completely empty it while it's still running, I don't know why I just turned off, but you want to lean it back to where the drain is. That way it gets all the water out that's in there.
So what do? We cut it off, pulled it outside.
Yeah, because we're gonna get the drain all the way. It was close enough. I don't feel like keep messing with it. Sometimes it works a lot better than that, draining a water heater. Sometimes you gotta fight them. Or your water heater, my water heater pump ain't working too well right now.
All that sediment in there, does that say something about the water supply here?
Nah, standard.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes you'll get, like on wells and stuff, you'll get a lot more sediment than on like, I mean, yeah, the condition of the water might vary, but you still get sediment in your water heater no matter what.
We don't know what actually made this water heater go though, do we?
No. The seam, you know, what holds the water together split open somewhere inside. Alright, water heater's out of here. I capped off, the electric's still off, but I put wire nuts on it too, just in case some idiot turns it on. We'll have to mess with this later when we put a new one in. I did put a new shut-off valve up here, and then I capped off the hot side, because we're gonna turn the water back on. If you get a single handle faucet, you'll start mixing it into the hot side, it'll start coming out of here. So I always cap this side off, it ain't going right back in.
Right.
And then we have a nice new valve here, so now once we cap off the bathrooms, we can turn the water back on. And that's it for the water heater.